Welcome back to the Fluent Finance Abroad podcast series. I'm Marc Elliott from Fluent Finance Abroad, and I'm here today with Keith Spiselnik from Target Property Spain. And today we're going to get into the spicy topic of commissions and
Spicy
kickbacks and real estate commissions and mortgage broker commissions here on the Costa del Sol. So welcome, Keith.
Thank you for having me back, Mark, to come and ruffle a few feathers, no doubt.
Real estate commissions. How does it work?
So real estate commissions are in the Costa del Sol are anywhere between around 5 to 7%, which is high. It's a lot higher than the rest of Spain. It's a lot higher than most European countries. I've got colleagues and friends who are in real estate, have their own real estate businesses in the UK. And when they ask me how much our commission is, they are staggered. I often reply, that's why I do it in the Costa del Sol, not in the UK. But the question we often get asked, I guess, is do agents deserve that commission? And I guess it really boils down to, are you giving the client value? Mm-hmm. You know, does the value that you are giving the client, be that the buyer or the seller, does it justify the fee? I think you need to bear in mind that when you're working the Costa del Sol, you're dealing with an international market. Yep. So, you know, if you've got a real estate agency, say in Islington, and somebody walks into that real estate agency, it's because they want to be in Islington. Yeah. You know, they've researched the area, they know the schools, they know that's where they want to be. Whereas 9 times out of 10, when somebody approaches us, they just want to be somewhere hot. So the first week we spend with that client could be driving them from Malaga to Estepona, nailing down an area. Now, on top of that, you've also got, you know, they're dealing with unfamiliar territory. So we've got to talk to them about how the process works here. There's the after-sales service, there's the cultural nuances, because they're moving to a brand new area. So quite often we become the one port of call for them. And I guess also dealing with an international market involves a greater outlay from the agency.
So more cost.
Yeah, we're now looking at international marketing. We're looking at employing multilingual staff to deal with the different nationalities. The nuances of Marbella means we're talking about high quality professional photographs and videos. So yeah, the outlay is greater. But it also works well for the client because the commissions are generally around 5%. Some agencies charge 7%, but generally 5%. There's enough commission there for agencies to split commissions.
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, you've got one agency representing the buyer, one agency representing the seller, and you work together on the deal and then share the fee. Whereas in the UK, for example, where I'm from, there's not enough commission to do that. And they don't work on that multi-listing system, do they? They have their stock portfolio and the client either likes something they have in stock or they don't.
Yeah. I see a lot of similarities between the Spanish real estate market and the US.
Yep.
The US market is a regulated market. This isn't. But in the US, it's very common to charge 5 or 6%. And I guess there is a sharing of commissions there as well, isn't it? I mean, you're talking logistically, you're covering a much bigger area than if you were in Isheen, for example, in Southwest London.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big factor, isn't it?
It's a different sales environment as well. I mean, I love what I do. I find the whole international real estate market absolutely fascinating. Some people might not, but there's so many moving parts. It absolutely fascinates me. And for me, the biggest difference is if you're selling a property to somebody in the UK or elsewhere in Europe and they're they're a citizen of that country, they're buying on a need basis, you know, or renting on a need basis. They need somewhere to live. Whereas when we're helping people buy property here, it's more often a desire you're satisfying. You know, people want to realise their dream. And it's a nicer end result when we're helping people realise that dream and to buy their property in the sun.
Another thing that I've noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the sales journey, if you like, or the sales process, seems to me it's a much longer process. Like, for example, if someone from Sweden is thinking about buying in Spain, it may take them 3 years to make that decision.
I've worked with clients for longer than that. I've worked with clients for 5-6 years before they maybe been in a position to buy. Maybe they had to wait to retire or wait for some bonds to mature or sell a property back in their home country. And quite often we will start talking to them right at when those first seeds of that dream are there to be planted. That's when we'll get involved and start talking them through the journey. Yeah.
So just to recap then, so it's generally 5%, it can be up to 7%. We're talking in the Costa del Sol area, and other areas that could be different. But a lot of the time you share that commission with another agent.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of the times you hear complaints about that is generally when the customer is not getting value for money. They're either getting limited advice or not getting the customer service. And again, it comes down to perception. If you're guiding your client through the process, and quite often if you've got that market knowledge, you're able to steer them into deals which are good value for money. You're able to negotiate them better prices. You're able to pick out the bargains from the overpriced properties. Then in my opinion, you're offering good value for money.
Okay, well, it's a really important point because 5%, a lot of our clients, and we're from the UK, aren't we? We're used to the UK real estate agent charging on average probably about 1.5%. Yeah. Some cases more, some cases less, but in general 1.5%. So when it comes to selling a property, I think people from the UK should factor in that they will need to pay 5% to an agent.
No, because if an agent's asking a buyer to pay a fee, then I'd advise them to look around for another agent because it's the vendor that pays the fee. Okay, so the way that we describe it to our team when I'm training my team is that the buyer is a customer, but the vendor is the client. The vendor's the one that charges the fee at the end of the day. And it's quite interesting because sometimes we'll take on a property, we'll do our marketing, and we'll get a buyer in the first couple of weeks. And the vendor can quite often say, well, I'm paying you 5% for 2 weeks' work. And my answer quite often is, would you prefer I took a year to sell it?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, there's all the infrastructure you've put in place over the years that obviously allows you to be able to sell something.
So interestingly, while we're on the subject of commissions, because real estate agents obviously earn their commission from the sale of the property, it's interesting because we quite often get approached by third-party suppliers and offered a kickback to introduce their services. We've been offered a kickback by lawyers, by mortgage advisors. Our view is that we don't accept kickbacks from financial or legal companies. Sure, if we're recommending a furniture package, we have a collaboration agreement with those. We're an affiliate of those companies and we're happy to receive a small commission for doing so. But when it comes to legals and financials, it just doesn't sit right.
Why is that?
Because I think we should be offering unbiased advice, regardless of whether you're getting a commission payment or not. And it just doesn't feel right to be recommending a lawyer that's going to give legal advice or a mortgage advisor that's going to give financial advice and receive commission for doing so. I think that should be based purely on service.
Can I just say something there then? Because Fluent Finance Abroad, we have we made a decision very early on to not engage in paying kickbacks or commissions for introducing.
You don't pay commissions?
No, we don't.
I'm out.
Yeah, see you later. And one of the reasons we did that is purely because of that. We don't want to muddy the waters between ourselves and the advice that we give. Ultimately, the advice is serious advice, and it should be treated that way. And we feel that, from an ethical perspective, to guarantee unbiased advice is probably a good idea not to offer. A lot of agents do insist on receiving introducer commissions, but we don't. Obviously, they don't use our services. So I'd like to thank you anyway for because you recommend Fluent Finance Abroad to your
clients. But to be fair, Mark, the value I get from Fluent Finance is way above and beyond any kind of commission payment I could expect to receive. Because for us, the value with you guys is once a client of ours is happy to be referred to you, you guys then dig into it. you dig into that client's financials, you get more granular than we do. And that's when we know that if they're progressing with you, that the numbers stack up and they're good to go and the mortgage will be approved. So it helps us qualify the client.
Yeah, and we're happy to do that. We're here to support. But how do you feel when another mortgage broker or a lawyer comes to you and offers you an introducer commission? How does that sit? How could that sit? I mean, even we're only going public with this now because you've been recommending clients to us for many years. I've had it before where a client has asked me, are you paying the introducer for this? And it gives me great pleasure, and it's very nice for us to say no. Your real estate agent is introducing Fluent Finance Abroad because they think it's the best thing for you. And that, again, reflects really well on the agent, or like yourself, your agency, because there is nothing grey. There are no kickbacks. There are no under the table payments, and it's purely that you're there to do the best job for the client.
And the Costa del Sol is known in some circles as 10% land, isn't it?
It is
10% commission for this and 10% commission for that. Yeah.
You know what we touched on a different podcast about the lack of regulation on real estate agents. And we, as a business, we kind of self-regulate ourselves as to who we work with, and one way in which we can put up a barrier to real estate agents or any real estate is that our refusal to pay introducer commissions, because that stops a lot of people coming. A lot of, how would I say it? Real estate agents that don't have the same philosophy as we do, it stops them coming to sending us clients, which is great.
Yeah.
Because we only want to work with certain like-minded individuals.
Yeah, I think you're a bit like us. You form a bond with your clients, and when they see you in the street, they cross the road to come and say hello and shake your hand and thank you for the service you provided, as opposed to the opposite, which would be crossing the road to avoid you because they never want to see you again.
Yeah, we get a lot of repeat business, and I'm sure you do. Yeah, because of that level of honesty, even though it was never discussed. But I think your actions speak louder than your words sometimes. Yesterday, I spoke to a client who I did a mortgage for in 2015. They're going to upgrade now. They wouldn't come back if they didn't feel, that the trust was there, that we built that trust.
Yeah.
And I think an important thing for us is that we don't have this grey area, and we can go public and talk about some of the practices that do go on, like the lawyers introducing, paying commissions for introducing. That kind of doesn't sit quite right to me.
So interestingly, I'd like to know, because your mortgage in the sector is regulated in Spain, are you prevented from paying commissions to introducers?
No, not at all. There's no regulation to say that we can't pay. It's just that we choose to. The way if you want to know the way we get paid is we charge, we negotiate a fee with a client, but we also get a commission from the bank, and that's perfectly legal. One of the things where regulation for us falls short is that the Bank of Spain doesn't put limits as to who banks can pay commissions to.
Okay.
And that for us is a bit of a problem, because there's nothing to stop a law firm or a real estate agent introducing a particular client to a friend of theirs in a bank and then being rewarded for that. That doesn't occur in the UK, for example. In order for you to receive commissions from a bank, you have to be a regulated and qualified mortgage broker, and that causes us a bit of a headache.
So I guess on the back of what we talked about, the advice to clients would be, because that's what we need to consider, if your agency is recommending a particular legal or financial, or for the sake of argument, any kind of third-party service provider, you're well within your rights to ask that agency, are you receiving a commission for referring me onto this business?
100%. There's nothing to stop client, and quite rightly, you should. Every consumer has that right to ask that question. I believe that they should, and because they need to know if there's something going on that they're not aware of. which is making them going into one certain area rather than another. And then we need to understand why that is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think I've heard many discussions about this before. So
I think this is the first one.
this
Keith.
could be a career-ending interview.
That could be, but it could actually help change the industry, which is what we want. We want things to be a bit more transparent and a bit clearer for our end user, which is our customers. And we want happy customers, right?
Yeah, indeed.
That's what we want. Well, thanks, Keith. That just about wraps up that spicy topic that we just covered. Thank you very much for coming in. I'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Let's see if we can come up with another topic for next time.